Alright, especially if you try before, quit smoking in 30 days by Gary Holland, Herman Weiss, and PhD. Quit smoking in 30 days. Contents: Introduction, quitting with a friend, days 1 through 10, getting ready to quit, days 11 through 20, quitting, 21 through 30, following up for a non-smoker, fat, lean suggestion for those who've gained weight, using this book to quit cold turkey, other smoking cessation programs that are available. Introduction. You're about to attempt one of the most difficult things you will ever do, but you already know that. Chances are you've tried quitting smoke before and failed. Maybe you've tried many times and failed. Discouraging, right? Wrong. You can still quit no matter how many times you have or haven't tried before, no matter how old or how young you are. And quite frankly, the more you've tried, the better our chances you actually are. It's almost as if quitting smoking is something you can get better with practice. This time is going to work. The fact that you're holding this book in a good sign to show that you want to quit and that you feel that you're looking for help with nothing to feel bad about. The people who can stop smoking on their own are few and far between, and even employ the techniques, gadgets, and gimmicks that are used by those of who do smoke seek it out. But why is it so darn hard to quit? How did we mature adults get enslaved to a silly white or brown cylinder? Look at this. Smoking is a habit and addiction, habits that are hard enough of their own right to break. And the fact that the cigarette contains a very powerful addiction drug, namely nicotine, and it becomes more clearly we can still just walk away from them, even after the physical need of nicotine has become overcome. There's still a habit to break. Also, constraints of the situation within are other drugs, and there's no stigma attached to smoking, if not frowned upon or not usually. People do it in the open and just about everywhere. They're tactically encouraging their others to do it with the offered pack. When you are a non-smoker 30 days from now, when that offered a pack may be one of the hardest temptations to resist. Politely, firmly ask your friends to stop tempting you. This book acknowledges both the addiction and habit of smoking cigarettes and tries to help you withdraw the addiction gradually with a break of the habit that you got to accomplish both. Many people say the only way to stop is to do it with cold turkey. Most of them are still smokers. Of course, some of the people to do this in this way, but it's really a jolt to the body. Some of the sensations relieves you, coping with a physical and psychological craving at the same time of the addiction and the habit that's extremely hard, as well as the painful ways to stop it. Most people don't they light you just one cigarette to ease the withdrawal of the pangs, and they're hooked again. In this book, we gradually wean you from nicotine, not totally, but almost. Before stopping the habit, you find it much easier for the methods at work. We will now lecture you about the horrors of smoking. You already know about them, or rather than concentrate on the positive side of the non-smoking, like how much food tastes and how nice it's able to walk a flight of stairs without getting winded, like not coughing in the morning, and feel good about yourself because you could do it, and you could stop, and you can. We will be realistic. Hard for it's hard, very, very hard. Let's not pretend that it's not. But people have quit good for good every day. As a matter of fact, there are no more than 30 million ex-smokers living in the United States. And that's the reality too. If they could do it, you can do it. Let's go. Quitting with a friend. One more thing before you begin. There are lots of ways to quit smoking. There's also lots of tips in this book that you may find implausible or that may not seem useful. While they are helpful to some people, they may not help you. Weigh them all carefully and then up to the tips and think about the beneficial. As a tailor to the program, suit your own needs and schedule. Actually, one of the big clues of this program is that flexibility. There are two specific points at which you may decide to proceed or alternately go into a holding pattern one way, but if the people quit successfully to do it with a friend, this gives you talk to someone in turn for the encouragement. Also creates a little help with the competition. Also, if you decide if you decide to quit with a friend, you can still proceed at your own pace. Your quitting dates does not necessarily have to be coincided with shouldn't be too far apart. Either they talk to someone quit or other people that they're probably thinking about quitting too. Most of the smokers are, and will become opportunity to participate in the process with you. Days 1 through 10, getting ready to quit. Day 1. Today we're not going to do too much. As a matter of fact, let's do a little possible. Take it easy, enjoy yourself, sniff your rose bush when you leave your house on your way to work this morning, and slice fresh with just juicy melon at lunch. Notice how blue the sky is, or how funny people act in the rain. Don't start worrying about the ordeal to come, because really there isn't one. Rather, to realize that how much you enjoy being alive, how much your family needs you to be, needs you, how many things you have to look forward to. But at some point today, buy a small notebook, one you can fit within your pocket and pocketbook. Starting today for the next 30 days, write down a brief description of how you are feeling. For instance, you may write for day 1, feeling a lousy morning, maybe better with a day progress. On day 1, Saturday AM, great. Day PM, kids not got on my nerves. You don't have to write anything extensive unless you want to. You just want to keep your record of the mood so you can gauge your optimal quitting date. Also, today, as you think of them, write down the reasons why you smoke. Knowing the reasons will help to counteract them and help you to successfully stop smoking. We'll suggest some of the reasons later that may or may not be the same as yours, but today figure out and on your own. Ask yourself every time you light up just why you want a cigarette. In spite many little aggravations, life is great, and for you very soon it's going to be even better. Day 2, how are you feeling today? Write it down. Continue to take the time to observe and enjoy things. The Indians believe that you know that the man's character is defined by the attention. Don't try to stop smoking, even cut back yet, unless it just happens without you trying. Sometimes today, list your notebook negative aspects of the smoking that make you want to quit. They may not be the big negatives that it sure soon motivate most people, but what really want are your negative thoughts about smoking. Day 3. You write up this time with the author to do so with a little work you have to know about doing it all. Yesterday, they wrote down things about smoking that may want to quit when you're going to add a few observations to your list. Our intention is not to scare you or lecture you, rather is provided that you will reason you may not have the thought of or to give you a little more motivation. Obviously, someone will duplicate your list otherwise may not bother with, but one of the really striking home should copy into your notebook. Smoking gives you halitosis or halitosis. Stains your finger, dulls your sense of smell and taste, irritates people around you. You might be surprised just how much it gives you a smoker's hack. It makes your house and clothing dinger. It messes up your house. It causes burn holes in the furniture and clothing. Now for some bigger reasons, lung cancer. Yes, you know, but do not really know how bad lung cancer causes nearly 90,000 deaths a year in the U.S. About 80% of all the lung cancer cases are related to smoking. Lung cancer also kills more than any other single cancer. Smoking is implicated with the cancer of the mouth, larynx, esophagus, bladder, and other areas. Death rates among smokers or coronary heart disease are double those for the non-smokers. Winded. Smoking is also related to emphysema and bronchitis. List of health problems goes on and on, actually, but you get the idea. Many of the people consider the careers more important than their health. However, here's one that you may want to not have to know about. April 15, 1982, issue of Wall Street Journal reports many of the employers beginning to discriminate against smokers. The variety of the reasons, including higher absentee rate, higher health insurance costs, low efficiency, damage to the office's machinery, premises, bad image of the company, other reasons than discriminating based off the perfectly legal. Here's last one, very important reason to stop smoking if you're a woman. Smoking during pregnancy affecting the unborn baby. To what extent is not yet known, but the oxygen level is too rapidly reduced. Reproducing cells are severely reduced, and chances are your baby weight will be below normal, with other abnormalities maybe the result that are not known. After all this bad news, try to focus on some of the pleasant things before you go to bed. By the way, how are you feeling today? Write it down. Day 4, if you're yesterday with a rehash, left you depressed, let's go over it real fast. After all, if you've done a lot of stupid things in your life, smoking probably isn't even closer to being one of the worst. Don't feel guilty about it if you like. Most people that started smoking when you were young, extremely impressionable, vulnerable, probably lonely. Peer pressures to try was great, and when the parental pressure is not to smoke with it, which was even greater. So the rebellious stage of the combination was perfectly started. Unlike some of the other silly phases, if they take a minute not to think about them, go ahead and chuckle with a little bit. You couldn't just leave the smoking behind. It had become a habit. Very vast, wealthy, powerful tobacco industry was there a long time to telling you it was okay, telling you smoking with a sophisticated, attractive adult, even sexy. Smoking is very sophisticated, by the way. Even notice how you never borrow a cigarette or you bum one. Okay, maybe you weren't exactly an unwary victim, but the blame doesn't lie with you either. Also, yourself will get a little angry about that. Then you realize that from today on, blame will lie on you, and if you don't stop again, have to focus on how good your life is going to be once you've quit. Take a few minutes to sit down, think about it, then write it down with a positive change that happened in your life. Think of the writing down with the thoughts. It may seem like a silly excuse to have. Please trust us here. It's not. You don't have to spend a lot of time doing this exercise, but do them for yourself. We'll give you a good positive thought to begin with. I will feel better from the top of my scalp, from the soles of my feet. My body will feel more alive. Day 5. Today is the day of the decision. Know whether you're going to quit, whether you're not whether you're going to quit, and that you are going to quit. Today we'll just try to decide when. Get a calendar, or if you keep it a date books, go get that. If you proceed according to the schedule, even 11 days from now, you will quit smoking. Looks at the day of the date book when the day of the week falls on. Do you have anything planned? How will it work? Will be then. Do you have any major projects coming up at the time? Now look at the notebook over the last 5 days. Do you have the up days and down days? We're the unique of the week of the can you seek with the pattern in your life. For some people, the Mondays are typically blue. Others start the week with a vitality that wanes gradually each successful day until the Friday finds the limp and fatigued. What was your pattern or your should plan? And so the 11 days from now, quit day would have an up day with a day with generally feel good about yourself. With the 11 days from now, with the Monday, and Mondays are the worst day. Wait for the few days until the quit day falls on a Wednesday or a Saturday. Whatever day you think will be the best for you. In the meantime, continue to keep track of how you feel, but continue to notice with the world around you. Of course, you get to predict the future. Of course, you can't predict the future. You may plan 11 days from the now beginning wonderful, but it could be dreadful, but we'll have the chance to go with the holding pattern again. Further, anytime you feel on this book proceeding too slowly, too rapidly, feel free to combine 2 days or to repeat a day. Keep these things loose and flexible. Will help you to keep on the track. Our method will adjust you until you're ready, and you'll soon be. Day 6. Okay, you're here, and here are you on your way. I said before that you may continue with the procedure at your own pace. Don't skip at anything. However, read over all the hint suggestions, even to decide over the 2 or 3 days each of the stage. If the day comes along with you really feel good with the positive, if you really feel feel like quitting, and it's okay with the beat, but skim next few pages until you get to day 16 with the quit day. With the proceed from there. If your attempt is to quit fails, don't feel bad. If your attempt to quit fails, don't feel bad. Just come back today and proceed accordingly. Everything is individual with the problem. Will the most quitting scheme is if they don't recognize that. You can mold the program to your own personality during the next few days. Continue with the write down how you're feeling, where you're going, starting tapering off of the cigarette soon. You might want to note down all along with the general moods and feelings how your body seems to be adjusting to that. Also today, become the record of every cigarette of you smoke. Attach your cigarette notebook or cigarette pack with a rubber band and your cigarette pack with your notebook. It doesn't really matter as long as they're together. Before you light up with it now on, you have to open the notebook and make a notation at the time of the day if there was an occasion involved. Walking, coffee break, business meeting, after dinner, watching TV, or if nothing special was happening at the time indicated whether they needed one of the cigarettes to token the unconsciously. You can use NW or U for the code letters wish, but it doesn't hurt to write down the whole word down. Just to let yourself know that to give yourself a longer pause before each cigarette. In other words, you were probably being looking like something like this: 6:30 a.m. on waking need, 6:50 after shower wanted, 7:15 with a coffee, the breakfast needed, 7:25 with coffee, the breakfast unconscious wanted, 7:45 waiting for the train unconscious. This is getting to be a damn hassle. It's okay with it getting at least feisty with your journal. Just promise yourself if you write down every cigarette every time it's not convenient to write it down, don't smoke with a cigarette. If you don't have the time to make it the quit note, neither do you have the time to find the cigarette. Take one out and find your matches, light up and put on your cigarettes away and put your matches away. Don't rationalize from today on, since it's unlikely that you would write these down. Never take an offered cigarette again. When somebody else shakes your pack at you, simply say, no thanks, I'm quitting. Alright, day 7, I'm introducing Pat. Without giving a Freudian hair over their hair, here's some Freudian here. Let's assume that living with a 3 or 4 year old kid We'll call him or her Pat. Pat's a real brat. No one cut a cute mind of brat either. The rotten kid gets all red faced and screams when he or she is something, wants something. Try invasion Pat. Think of him or her as one of the bullies with the little rascals attached to face to your Pat, and once they not even more of their kid love. You don't think that there's a Pat within you? Well, Pat doesn't act upon all of the cross until he crosses him. He's a sleeping brat, but remember the last time you tried to quit smoking or a diet or do something mentally that you didn't feel like doing physically, did you hear from Pat? If not, then why did you start smoking again? This is said to you for the calling your idea of whatever you want, the fits of everything that positive to do with yourself. It doesn't give you your immediate gratification as well. Might be not as fight as nice. It might not fight at nice. Fresh green salad, but remember how Pat used to fight him, and maybe he still does when it came to eating your spinach. It's helpful to it along with the face of the attached to the word Pat. Words like I want a cigarette, but now I want it, I want it, I want it. And I said for the kids with a real bully, he's a bully to roll around. You're around a lot. But also remember how little rascal bully always got good spanking in the end. You're going to deal with your Pat too. Right now, however the Pat knots to arose, you're still smoking, although there's a little hassle involved before lighting up. You are still writing down your cigarettes, and aren't you? So how only got one eye open. Here today, Pat has a message for you. For God's sake, if you're going to quit, and you're an adult, you don't have to monkey around with all of these nonsense and writing things down after the matter. Don't think. People are laughing at you. I signed it, love Pat, paid day 8. How's it going? Have you has written down each of the cigarette cups with a cutback with the unconsciously taken one with a now today. Don't try to eliminate them or to let them, some of them, at least some of them. When you reach for your pack, ask for you really need it if you want the cigarette, but if not, then why not skip it to add all of the needed one of the unconscious cigarette from days 6 and 7. Can you keep the tally? Pat will probably tell you that you wanted every one of them, but Pat will do everything in the cigarette, lie, cheat, and steal with the murder with the U.S. Pat with his murderer too. After all, the Pat knows all about the facts of the 117,000 people that died from lung cancer last year. But here's willing to sacrifice your buddy with a cigarette. You've got to force yourself to start recognizing Pat and his Willie way with to recognize those unconscious cigarettes. Cut back on them. Continue right every one of the time. Continues all of the notes of the world. How there's lots of harmless pressure to be indulged in. But Pat will tell you everything that is fun is harmful. And sometime today, stop with the travel agency, pick up some of the mini vacations you would like to take with the help of the travel agent. You'd be back in a few days when you've made the decision. By the way, the vacation is not going to cost you a penny. Day 9, you have the pink slip tacked with your brain with the urgent message from Pat. Better run and go get a carton of cigarettes. You almost have, and then there's no telling what these guys got up their sleeves next. Better get them just in case. XXXXOOO Pat. Smart. Maybe he's not a 4-year-old brat after all. Maybe he's about as old and crafty as you. Because he's right. From today on, you must promise yourself never another carton of cigarettes again. Furthermore, you promise to buy only one pack at a time, not even 2. That's a bloody inconvenient Pat, but the tell Pat is not inconvenient as sitting somewhere with an inch-long ash looking out with the ashtray and starting with a cough in the middle of the business meeting until everyone in the way for you to stop, or knocking over an ashtray or burning a hole in the clothing. Inconvenient because of the smoking habit, always inconvenient every time you need a cigarette, but not to add one. Little restriction isn't really added in the extra hassle of the already hassle-ing habit. When you do buy a pack of cigarettes, the notice of the price of the look at them following the chart considers how many packs you over the smoke per day before you start with the program, and see how much money you will save by not smoking over the next month, 6 months, year, or longer. Write down the figures and apply them into your notebook, but then add the hidden smoking, and then add hidden costs of smoking. The American Health Foundation, of course, the American Health Foundation passes if there was a KGB not to be trusted, estimated with the hidden expenses up to around $600 a year when you added it with the extra medical expense that smoking incurs, plus missed work costs of lighters, burned holes in clothing, furniture, etc. Also today, look through the travel brochures with an eye taking a small vacation 6 months from 2 a year from now within the money with you have and save. For instance, you have the 2-pack a day habit, you will have this is how much money with 1 pack a day being $1. We base these figures on a $1 pack, which is the conservatively estimated sums, especially with the buy of a cigarette with the machines. Very often the price is higher. If you usually pay for the more with a cigarette, if the take the figures given in with the low, with the usually pay with the conservative, with the likely high, with the be realized, with the price is long, cigarettes is always going up. So, saved $1,330 by next year with $730 in cigarettes and $600 in Indian cost. You could be rewarded yourself by taking a weekend in St. Thomas for a skiing vacation in Aspen. It will not have the cost you a thing. As a matter of fact, you'll still be financially ahead. Of course, today you also write down your moods and feelings. Write down each cigarette. Continue with the cut back on these unconscious cigarettes. Done the daily cigarette tally. Day 10. Oh my gosh, it's him already. Oh my gosh, it's here already. Decision day number 2. At the end of the day, sit down with a read over the journal with a note of your moods, motivations, share how to become going so far with a look ahead. 6 days from now will be the quit day. Are you ready? Look for your look at your calendar. Anything will come up with the work at home will make these things difficult. Urgent bulletin from Pat. Yes, of course. What are the crazy? You gotta be let me see if I can see. Remember what it's right now, but I know that there's a big project or something right around the corner. If things look okay, proceed. If not, can you go to the holding pattern until you are ready? In the holding pattern, you should continue with the note with the daily modes. Write down the each cigarette. Keep your daily tab with the hold with the number needed. One unconscious cigarette at their present level. If you cigarettes have the decreased substantially, have they been fooling yourself? Then maybe you should spend a few days reducing them. Never take an offered cigarette. Never buy more than one pack at a time. Never listen to Pat. If you're going ahead with the select with a little rewarding vacation, make it a day with yourself, with your spouse, friend, when it will take place with the mark of the date on the calendar. Also draw a red circle around the quit date. Dates 11 through 20, 11 through 20 quitting. Day 11, the fire up with the oops, maybe you should have found with a better verb. Get excited with you're almost there, with you really because you've been tapering off because you've become aware of the smoking patterns because you've done with a lot of work already. If you really are ripe for quitting, today's going to be a busy day, however, let's do this. In addition, with everything you have been doing and not doing so far, you would totally eliminate unconscious cigarettes, switch to the low-tar nicotine brand with the orange you still enjoy. However, stop using a lighter. If you do so, these matches start saving the cigarette butts with the ashes in a jar with a screw-on lid. Make the dental appointment for the morning of the day 16 or day 16. If it's on today, day 17 to get your teeth clean. Look at the picture of yourself that is very unflattering, which you are smoking. You could possibly even impose with the one now for if you really can get one. Referred to the photo in this book that is indicated. Go to the YMCA Health Club, get a membership if you don't already belong to one. If it only has to be 1 month of trial membership. Most places offer these are fairly inexpensive so long as you get one and don't start exercising though, unless you have then already. And of course, see the doctor if you have any health problems. If you haven't exercised in a long time, if you have the qualms about exercising, stop and travel the agent, make a reservation for your trip. Tonight, as you're lying back on the thick, think about the trip. This with the diaphones, blue for the Caribbean water, with the unblemished, for the expense of the white snow that you're about to ski down, make a connection between the purity and your lungs. Realize that within 2 years, your lungs will be recovered much more within the original color and elasticity. Imagine yourself floating in the warm water, lying in a bed with a refreshing white snow, with imagining your lungs changing from gray to pink. Day 12, remember the old Smokey the Bear commercial with which they showed you how to put out a campfire with the disposed, and first you doused in water, then you stirred on the burnt stick, and then the ashes around it, then you added more water and stirred it again, and finally buried the whole thing with the dirt. It was always seemed a little drastic, but with the Smokey insisted that you have to do all of the make sure that the fire was out. All the peripheral hints with the chores, tasks, and restriction recommendations may seem a little drastic too, but when we make sure that the fire goes out, there's no smoke from our campfire 5 days from now and 5 years from now. As efficiency, but it has more efficacy, has more different techniques combined with the article in the New York State Journal of Medicine, September 1982, stated with the feasibility of the multiple treatment of smoking cessation technique seemed clearly indicated. In other words, more douse, stir with the barrier of the campfire, better for the transfer today with the douse and continue with the core for the keep of the track of your cigarettes as before. No more unconscious taking cigarettes. Decide also start with the day with how many of the cigarettes you'll tend to do without. If you're down to 20, try to 15. Ration yourself. Continue to fill your butt jar. Really with the back to fill should be full of empty into the ashtray and start filling it into the jar again. Never empty this ashtray. You're trying to use the butt jar when you smoke, but when it's filled with it, keep it emptying with it into the same ashtray that you may have with one of the dirtiest ashtrays at home, one at work. No more, of course, you will require the cooperation of your family. Day 13. Continue as you did on day 12 with the addition. Switch to the low-tar nicotine brand. Try to cut back a few more cigarettes. Also do today look over the reasons why you smoke one over the one wrote in the journal. Day 1. See the different people smoke for the different reasons. Reasons you will help you work your problem. Following is the chart with the reasons usually given them with the smoking with a corresponding way to counteract them. Reason for smoking but not quitting is pleasurable. Take a good look over the ashtray with the butt jar and smoke with them. Take a whiff, and smoking is not really pleasurable. It helps relax. To avoid trauma and conflict in the next few days when you start to get up with a tense and close your eyes and thinking about your trip as you did in day 11. It's stimulating. Paradoxically, exercising can be stimulating with some of the other relaxing to the other, and smoking with stimulation with a might try to break a brisk walk or some doing some sit-ups or the push-ups in the morning instead of a cigarette, headed for the straight with a shower, but they usually advise to walk, wake up most people that you might try to use slightly cooler water. 4. It gives me something to do, wash my do with my hands, but put together in a kit of the substitute with a cigarette chewing gum, with a preferably with a sugar leaf, with a please cut and plastic coffee stir, with a popsicle stick, with a drinking straw, with a cinnamon stick, with a ball of putty. When you get the urge for the smoke, play with these things with your hands and your mouth is instead. And it is kind of the habit that I do it unconsciously. But now it can't be done unconsciously anymore. It's something made it too hard on one over the other region, but the problem is to supersede the small suggestion number of those should help. I crave cigarettes, I'm hooked. I'm physical and addiction weakening, but now that I tell yourself that it doesn't help the physiological countering with the try all necessary suggestion above, whichever seems most useful. Taking a whiff of the butt jar should help if you have the hunger for the tobacco. Day 14. If you feel that you've been cutting back with too much already, but don't push yourself too hard, but today you can maintain with your current level of cigarettes, but only smoke with the 2/3 of the way, with the also switch to another brand, one still lower in tar and nicotine than yesterday. You have the tip of given it yesterday with the counteract with the reason you smoke. We're also going to begin a little aversion therapy today. Select one of the following aversion methods depending on how pleasurable you find smoking. Every time you smoke, look at the unattractive photo of yourself referred to one of the books. Smoke over all in small poor ventilated rooms. Look at your butt jar ashtray while you're smoking. Think of the unpleasant thought as you smoke. You can read over the facts of the given in day 3. Don't smoke while you're doing anything that is pleasurable. You also might start planning some of the diversion activities from day 16. Talk with the friends and family. Tell you that you're quitting and ask you for the support and help with the understanding with the days to come. Day 15. You'll never make it. You're too weak, but it looks how many times you've tried to quit already. You quit smoking with your pen pat. With a telepath about with more than 30 million ex-smokers with living and real living in America today. All of them had to quit with the go through with the same things you are. If they do it, then you can do it with today with lots to do with the how with the soul, let it go. The last day with we will ever smoke for the rest of your life. With tonight, sometime you will smoke with the last cigarette. After you will never smoke another one again. Realize that you don't enjoy today's like condemning the person along like a prisoner of the facing the last day of the long sentence. Build on prior tips. You will switch to another brand you really don't enjoy. The one as low in tar with the nicotine as you can find. Only small cigarettes about halfway through. Butt jar as full of as you can. Take for the end of the day by some of the water, and then it will help to ruin the cigarettes as you can fish one out or the later. That when you're right, note that you wouldn't want to write as well as making it more aromatic. Also today, employ the aversion technique suggested yesterday, which you should add some or all of the following. Hold the cigarette with the opposite of the hand. You'll also use the hold it between the wrong fingers. Smoke with the only with it standing up. Get some play with the money like your cigarettes with $1,000 bills, dollar bills. It's good for the way to remind yourself about the real exuberant cost of smoking. Can you do thinking about the way you can tarnish these feelings and smoking while you are smoking? But once you finish the cigarette, look at the tour of the future of the positive changes that are going to take place in your life. Think about with your trip. Think about with your body cleansing in itself. Try to feel it. At the end of the day, throw out with all your cigarettes and crumble them so that they are unusable. Better than flush them down with the toilet and watch them go. Always take away your smoking paraphernalia, lighters and matches, ashtrays, and throw them all out. Yes, if you start smoking again, you're going to have to pay for it. But you want it, and you won't. So don't worry. Things to avoid your first few days of not smoking. coffee, tea, alcohol, beverage, parties, any food, drinks associated with smoking, stressful situation, boredom, sitting around after dinner, people who smoke, inactivity. Day 16. Alright, when on awakening with the morning, take over the deep breath with the head straight, with the shower, with the wood, with the washing, with the body image, with your lungs, and with it being cleansed. Look forward to the day with a start something new and good, not the day with a privation, not a day of privation. When you're out of the shower, keep it moving and get with the urge to smoke. Drink with a glass of cool water. You should drink with at least 5 glasses of water per day for the next few days. With a matter of fact, some people prefer with a glass of seltzer with a squeeze of lime, which is okay too. Before you drink it, notice of the clarity of the water. As you drink, imagine the washing of the impurities out of your body. Observe these things. Avoid lists over the possible. However, the skipping of the coffee in the morning with a little bit hardship. If you can have the coffee without smoking, go ahead. When you're not trying to turn into the total Puritan, otherwise things to do today. Buy a bouquet of flowers, bright and fragrant ones. Put them in where you will see them a lot at the home and at work. Sniff that every now and then. Realize that the sense of smell is getting better already. Get your teeth cleaned in the morning and promise yourself that you will never get nicotine stains on them again. Use lemon juice and chlorinated cleanser to remove the yellow stains from your fingers. Start exercising program today. If you haven't exercised for a long time, start with the overview, slow. Think of the exercise. Think of the to help to cleanse your rebuild your body. Keep your smoking diversion kit with the gums and popsicle sticks, etc. handy with the items necessary. Break with the ordinary routines today. Instead of the taking coffee, go to the road walk. Take a good multivitamin plus an additional vitamin C tablet. Don't drink milk or eat yogurt, preferably low fat to improve with your calcium consumption. Try to stay busy with it today if you don't really have the time and you want to smoke. If you don't refer to a list of things, you will help to resist. Over the day 17, keep up the good work. Day 17 morning, tell yourself that it won't be one day easier. Tell yourself that it will be one day easier, but every day from now on will get easier and easier still with the backslide now, with it going to go hit sometime within your life with the fierce determination with it got to with it. Which got you to day 17 shows you how hard pass over the why repeat after the morning's read over the first few days without notes within your journal. Concentrate with the day 4 review of the positive changes not smoking with the bringing into your life. Think about them, believe in them. Stay busy as again today. Go back to the gym even if you feel sore. Feel how good it is to feel a little bit sore. In fact, Pat's probably tried to tell you that just one cigarette wouldn't hurt you, but the help of the out with the habitual gradually for the very, very wrong. When done gradually and enough already, one cigarette does hurt, and as a matter of fact, with Pat himself will call himself a lousy failure. But if you take a puff, you must just make you feel disencouraged enough to start again. When you urge the smoke starts to come over you, but employ one of the following help to suppress the urge to grab the gear with the method exactly make it with the want to smoke, with the hunger for the tobacco, with the taking a whiff with your butt jar. If it's something to do with your hands, use your smoker diversion kit with a block of the urge. When the urge to smoke hits, close your eyes and take up the ears long, deep, and slow breath with one of the simplest ways you me with the effect of the weapons that the ex-smoker can use. While your eyes are closed, imagine any of the negative aspect of the smoke that helps with the quit with the urge to smoke with the tabas. Think about the positive change that will take place in your life with the image of the imagine your lung change from great as being for the real life that you would exhale slowly with your simultaneously exhaling impurity dealing with your lungs. Take a shower with the hard to stir smoke within there. You can think of it about your lungs being cleansed well with the water washing over the body. Sniff your flowers, appreciate the fragrance. Think of your trip to get you for the travel, the browse, for the look for the picture of the where you're going. Look at the trickle data on the calendar year. Use the smoker diversion kit. Have a glass of water. Drink slowly. Read the journal, especially for the day 1 through 4. Take out the whiff of the butt jar. Go to the walk on exercise. Talk. Someone tell you that you're having to smoke with, and then many crowds ask you for the getting through it. And when you can recommend them with one of everything that has worked out, at least one quitter with what have said through with a whole lot of smoke-filled room meetings where the smoker diversion kit might seem a little out of place. But here's by with a small cigar, sucking on them one. Instead of the craving of the tobacco mimics a lot of actions of the smoking. The only problem is the urge to light it up might get some overwhelming that you might and smoke cigars and isn't just a very happy alternative to smoking cigarettes. Day 18, the little engine that could breeze over the crest of the hill on day 16 when the bereaved men down on the hill ever since still have you ever the vigilant refer to the yesterday's urge blockers for help spend a few minutes trying to think of your own. These will probably be even more helpful because you come from you to write them in your journal at the first moment of trying with the moment of the day. Promise yourself you will do the following. First, dirty the digniest window in with your entire house. Get a small bucket of cleaning water and wash it. Look at the dry water and the soiled rag. Disgust yourself with the idea that your lungs are accumulating same with the kind of the dirt and swivel the look of the window. Think of the lungs and how clear they are going to be and give them a break and an urge for the smoke. Keep the trade keeping up over some different unusual, preferably placed for the forbidden smoke. For the maybe hard for the course if you're working, but the boss might understand that he or she even knows that you may be the more efficient worker once you've quit. So go to the movie you've already wanted to see. I want to a museum and play with anything that you get your mind off the smoking. Day 19. Alright, alarm, you have the terrible pains in your chest, you have a dizzy week, You have a heart attack you're having a heart attack. Don't cigarettes dilate the blood vessels, the better that you have one until you can call for the doctor. Anonymous admirer, never knew that Pat cared about you so much, did so much. And Pat is the name for Pax. He lets you smoke for years and years without introducing the pain of the guilt with the great evil of your body, and now with the concern with some of the normal physical manifestation. Quitting smoking may be harmful. Yes, you may be able to withdraw symptoms, even have the quit with gradually with it as you did with it. Probably nothing to worry about with the normal reaction. Some of the people to go through the best thing to do is call the doctor and talk to him and hear about it. And talk to him or her about it, and perhaps the guilt and with the checkup start smoking again, even if it's just one cigarette. Exactly wrong thing to do. How's your smoker diversion kit holding up? Need some more gum? Better buy it. Always. Also today with a reservation for the nicest restaurant for tomorrow night. Ask your spouse for the good friend to join you. It's to celebrate your release from prison. Day 20. Do you ever think of that you've been going, you weren't going to make it? You have to sell to the world, to tell the secretary, with your boss, the neighbors, to tell your spouse, maybe you've been talking to each other and your children. Thank them for their support. Tell Pat, call up your friends on the phone, call your mom and dad, and you probably nagging about you for quitting anyway. The more people you know, the harder it is going to be for you that have been seen with a cigarette hanging out over the corner of your mouth again. The journal will write yourself with a short letter of condemnation. Stop at the sea with yourself to travel again. Put yourself with some money on the trip that you plan. Tell your travel agent tonight with a celebration dinner. When you arrive at the restaurant, ask to be seated with the non-smoking section. If they don't look like one, look at the very askins. Savor of the food knows how things are tasting better if you have the years and the truth of the smoking cast with a gray paw over your taste buds. Tell your dinner companion how much more you enjoy life, and don't be afraid to discuss any fears, problems, even with the drinks tonight. Maybe even tonight with a little wine to celebrate. Or day 21 through 30, follow up with the non-smokers. Smoking is now a thing of your past. If you're not an ex-smoker, you're a non-smoker. But think of yourself in life with a smoker to sometimes start again. Non-smokers don't have the many adult non-smokers have known in your life who has started with smoking. When somebody offers with a cigarette, don't say no thanks, I quit. And say, no thanks, I don't smoke. Hopeful things have gotten much easier than already over the piece of the cake, but there's already things better than those over the day 16. If you're struggling, keep it referring to the day 16 and through 20. It takes longer for some of the people to nothing to feel bad about. If things do feel pretty good, however, you might want to start moving them gradually back with a more normal lifestyle with when you want, then be the next 10 days on a day-to-day basis. Just do things as they come if they feel comfortable. If there are some suggestions about easier back, if you don't quit with drinking caffeine drinks, if you did quit drinking caffeine drinks, think about staying off of them. After all, they don't do any good with the nutritional. Some of the groups claiming that even they do harm. You're getting a brand new body every day with the damage of the smoking gets lesser with the less, so that will not keep you the top shape. If you miss in the morning, cup of coffee, go gradually. Have at least one cup the first day. Drink it in a situation where you can't smoke. When we don't want any trick with the urge for a cigarette, ditto, all the above when it comes to the drinking alcohol, beverages, and warm soap. They're just healthy about them. There's nothing really healthy about them, but it is stop drinking the bulk of it. If you want to drink, if you want to drink, go ahead or moderately. Remember, the more people that you start smoking again, the parties and the other drinking situation, any other time. So be wary. After all, the alcohol lowers all of it. Stay under control. However, you'll be okay. You'll tell yourself every time before you have the drink that you're just not going to smoke, and able to remind you of the imminent peril that you are in. Keep your smoking diversion kit around with a non-necessary with you at all times. Some people who quit smoking chewing gum for the rest of their life are okay, but your teeth and your weight may suggest sugarless gum. Eat for the rest of the diet, book for the normal as much as possible. Don't hurt yourself to continue with the vitamins or to continue with the drink of the water if you wish. But if not necessary, either whether you have an overeating and compensate with the smoking, looking at the food tips of a little later in this chapter. There are many new habits for the you've picked up during the quitting effort for the beneficial for you and your health. If you can, why not maintain them? Most important, exercising, though it may be painful at first. Exercising is self-fulfilling. And your body gets stronger, the healthier it feels better, some better about it. But the exercise greatly improves one of the positive attitudes, which can help to suppress the desire to smoke. Talk to somebody who jogs and swims and plays tennis regularly, but they ask them about the high they get from it. You can have too, but then just stick with it out. Once you do so, they'll lift you out of the cigarettes you never seem to quit for them. It's appealing, and another very beneficial technique you've learned is a kind of relaxation therapy. You can also continue with the practice when things get hectic. You can start with getting intense, close your eyes and take a simple deep breath and try to imagine pleasant things, pleasant settings, and uncomfortable all kinds of gurus, doctors, and psychological similar procedures have the springboard for the various therapies designed to control such diverse things as simple nervous ulcers and high blood pressure. Of course, I have the serious problems such as high blood pressure. You should get more thorough help from this. Book can offer, but the simple controlling stress in everyday life of the procedure is a real gem. Some pitfalls to avoid. Admittedly, many people who quit smoking start, but they get with the deep enough that you can always most certainly find Pat on the bottom of these failed attempts. He'll flatter, you'll insult with a discourage you with a trick you to get into the smoke again, and let's look at some of his ploys. Why should you quit smoking? You could get hit by a car tomorrow. Well, yes, you could, but it also doesn't travel the street without looking both ways. Either the smoking is the tempting fate, but whether looking at this way, whether you realize that the past argument isn't really a rational one. Okay, you quit now, but let's see if it really worked. If Pat tells you this, you still really don't smoke, and then someone's cigarette will prove that you have failed, that it didn't work. Do not attempt this yourself. Preserve. You're enjoying smoking so much now. You've stopped. Why not smoke just 2 or 3 cigarettes a day? Surely that can't hurt. Surely it can, but over the 3 soon turns to 4 and 5, then 6. So gradually will be happening. After all, the didn't start with the 2 packs a day, did you? You gained 5 pounds already, and would you rather smoke with the be slender, to be non-smoking blimp? One does necessarily exclude the other. With many cases of temporary weight gain, they only do with the retain water. Still, some of the minority actually do gain weight, but they can do dealt with one, so they have the conquer for the smoking habit. It's not hard to imagine what you're going to feel like if you do start smoking and you don't lose weight within which weight you've gained. After all, there are plenty of overweight smokers around. Congratulations, provided you prove you can quit anytime and then start again and then quit again at any time. You've tried to make it that you're quitting as painless as possible, but was it you really wanted to go through with again? And you're a curious person. Have you just remind yourself of the taste and felt like things, Pat, but the flattery won't get you anywhere. The whiff of the butt jar, to remember the taste and smell of the pleasure of the tobacco. Just one. That's probably the worst thought. Pat's most definite suggestion, but it can be really haunting with the relentless if it doesn't sound tempting to remember that just one you'll hear and just one more of just another one. Don't do it. As long as you save it and over the first one, you'll have it saved and over the second. During the last 10 days, know the reason for the Pat gives you the issue that might have another cigarette. Examine them, write it down within your journal with thinking over your own answers to them. If it suggests really tough, read over the hints and the suggestions we give you days 16 through 25 of them, especially one seemed to work best for you earlier than they should help. The fatter and leaner suggestion for those who gain weight. Or the biggest myth of this about stop is smoking with the cause of the weight gain. Exactly what is the myth in reality? Only about 25% of those who stop with smoking actually gain weight. The vast majority don't. Furthermore, it's followed up a program carefully that you should not have the added with the extra pounds. Of course, this is the small comfort if you have the patient wouldn't be advantage you now. If you're part of the 25%, asking yourself the following question: how much have I gained? And could it just be water weight? The first few days we're trying, but now the thing will ease up a bit. Will my eating habits go back to the normal? If I'm chewing gum gum and the nibbling gum with candy is sugarless. I'm exercising again by substituting food for cigarettes. It's only day 21 or day 22 now. The weight could just be water weight, with the mentioned earlier. If you look at your eating habit, and if you don't feel with eating more, give it yourself a few days before you start to worry about getting away on a diet. But watch yourself too. Make sure the pet isn't tricking him. He's like to eat much as much as he likes to smoke. If you're craving for a cigarette with a disappearing with a good riddance within your path, probably with the craving for food, wait and see before you get involved with the dieting. You may eventually have to take off with a few extra pounds if you gain. You won't really have to worry about the continual weight gain. If you're not chewing sugarless gum and you're exercising, why not? No excuse to get off with the fat sofa and jog with the candy store and buy some sugarless gum. Here's some of the suggestions that should help them snack with a mealtime. If you haven't been chewing gum, try it with your urge to snack with a cigarette and sugarless, of course, but buy a jar of cinnamon stick stock. On one of them, you can hold it in your mouth with a handle like a cigarette, but you can also inhale with it, and plus with a very pleasant flavor. Consider the things you're snacking in the chain with the things with lower calories. Keep it contained with a carrot stick, celery, green pepper to slice with gum or stick the radishes, etc. for refrigerated. Nibble on these when you feel like snacking or smoking. As you do, think about how fresh and crisp and healthy they are for you. Just come with the snacks like bagels and horseshoe rolls. They are not low. They are not as low as in calories as raw vegetables, but they are not as bad with a candy bar either, especially if you don't bother them. Part of them bagels will also take a very long time to eat and will make you feel full. At the meals, have a glass of water before you eat. Eat slowly and put your fork down after each bite, chewing your food thoroughly. Substitute lower calorie foods as the meal with the snacking. In other words, fish instead of the pork, vegetables instead of the potatoes. Try fresh fruit with the dessert. After dinner, get up and immediately go for a walk, do something. Don't just watch TV. Then when you're leaving, have things that might continue to eat instead. Also, usually take a little while for your brain to register if the stomach is full. If these suggestions don't pull in a dent into your slow with a steady weight gain, you could consult with any number of the diet books of the tips on the weight loss, but try to avoid fat diets that are non-nutritional balanced, especially those diets that have to just eat one or two of the kinds of food, expensive with all the other. Remember, however, if you have a not weight problem before, you probably don't have the weight problem now. You've probably been in with an obsessive eater. You're eating to cope with something that you have very predominant in your life that's now gone. No diet, especially gimmick diet, is going to help you until you deal with the loss of obsession. In the book, when you give the hints of dealing with cigarette obsessions, that you can work equally well with it comes with food, with the urge to snack, with the overeating comes over you, with the close your eyes and take a serious, long, deep breath. Try to imagine the effect of the overeating, how bad it would glue at your body, with the imagine the arteries becoming a sludge with the excess of the fat and cholesterol. But imagine 500 pounds. You're struggling to get in the armchair of the bed. The picture benefit of sane eating and the picture slim and sleek, cigarette-free with the paying times for the running and swimming with the grace and the ability of the athlete. Feel how good it feels if the urge still does not pass. Try nibbling on one of the low-calorie items suggested earlier, or disrupt your behavior. Go for a walk and do anything to get out of the situation presently in. We're not trying to belittle you for something people with a serious problem. If nothing, we suggest if they're helpful, with consider the professional, the doctor, perhaps even a psychologist specialized in these kind of problems. Whatever you do, but don't give up. To start smoking, it probably won't help if it doesn't get to the root of the problem. Using this book, quit cold turkey. Alright, many of the people who quit smoking cold turkey and all at once. For them, this and for the preferred method of quitting that may be for you, but and still you can still use many of the techniques suggested in this book without going through the 10-day tapering off the period of the advocate. He briefly shows you how you can adapt your program to meet your own needs. Buy a notebook, spend a day with the two, writing down the reason why you're smoking, why you smoke, why you want to quit, and how your life will be better. With much of suggestion day 1 through 4. Keep the items of the separate list for them from the motivation once you've stopped smoking. Refer all the list, also the list of the smoking negatives given in day 3. Jot them down and really hit home. Note your daily, weekly moves. Plan ahead with the quitting day. Will fall on a day where they generally feel good. Refer to day 5 with interest to the person, yourself with a pat. And day 7, realize that your enemy, who the enemy is, so you can conquer him. And good idea with a skim over the material with the days 1 through 15. Even though if you don't have the tapering, you're not tapering off. You never know what ideas might use. be useful. Forget out how much you've saved on not smoking, then travel to the page 25, plan a trip with more money for you before going into the quit and start you for the reversion. Tip the suggestion, days 11 through 15 specifically, cut all of the butts and travel to do not empty the ashtray, don't smoke with a pleasurable time, give the negative imagery while with your smoke. Smoking only poorly ventilated this room, smoke with the very opposite hand, smoke with only with standing up, plus any other suggestion that seems helpful. On a quit day thereafter, follow the plan delineated days 16 through 20, plus the following non-smokers closely as possible, and good luck. Other sensation programs that are available. Nothing works for everything well, but you have to keep the program flexible, adaptable. It's probably may not be the type of the program works for you. Unfortunately, with the certainty with all the failures, that doesn't mean you're the failure. For those purposes, if you are still smoking with the weed list, if some of the group of the organization can help with you contact with the right away, while those smoking with the patterns will be disrupted and you're still acutely aware of your own habit. Don't go back into a 2-pack-a-day routine before you decide to quit again. After you quit again, and almost certain of the time is now with the American Cancer Society. American Cancer Society variety with a good, attractive, with the literature to help you stop smoking. They also spun for the class of the groups of 20 to 25 people. The nominal fee plus for the Experts Smokers Club telephone number hotline and to help you stay cigarette free. Right in the information. Call your local chapter and American Health Foundation. Stop smoking with the system free with the 5-day smoke with cessation program. Plus for the 2 of the follow-up sessions. Office of group and the corporate. Or other setting literatures are available for the following information: 212-595-1900. American Heart Association, Smokers End. This is the most successful commercial venture for the helpful people to stop smoking. They offer an 8-week, one meeting per week course for the how to quit smoking. Then quoted price for the $495, but special with the not often available. Call for the class location nearest you, and then hypnosis. There are literally thousands with hypnosis, with hypnotherapy, with the clinical, psychological, with the hypnosis practicing all across the country. They can be helpful to stop smoking, to lose weight, with a variety of the other kind of problem. Looking under the hypnosis of the yellow pages. There's 100 classes to help you quit smoking with being offered for the college and church, for the adult educated for the programs and for the organization. Ask you for the doctor if he or she knows of any kind to recommend and to recommend one. And that completed Quit Smoking in 30 Days.